Today we're joined by a genre-bending talent who's redefining what it means to be a modern artist. Known on stage as Jermiah Gold, A.G. Rodriguez is a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and producer whose cinematic soundscapes and raw lyricism blur the lines between pop, soul, and alternative rock. With notable mashups turning heads on social, he's creating a new sonic universe. Let's step behind the scenes and into the mind of Jermiah Gold. Jermiah, what's happening,
Dude,
brother? How you doing?
That intro was so sick.
Nice.
I was vibing to that beat, dude. I was like getting down, man.
Nice. I'm glad you digged it. Yeah, somebody
man.
who produces, you could probably appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that was a banger, dude. That was a banger.
Nice.
What's going on, man?
Yeah. Oh, just on here. I was kind of binging your music actually before we hopped on here. I mean, I initially came across you online, and obviously I turned heads from, or my eyeballs caught you basically based on some mashups that I came across. Yeah. And I was like, oh snap, what's this guy doing? He's blending some country with some R&B, and I was like, I can dig this. I was like, I gotta check him out. But yeah, before I got on here with you, I was kind of going down the rabbit hole, and I have to say, this is not blown smoke or anything like that. I think your reputation precedes yourself, as it says, right? Like, I started checking out some stuff. I'll just give you an example here. Okay. So I was listening to this mashup with Usher and JT that you had done.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This guy.
Yeah, my singing one?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, I did that. I actually made that mashup years ago, dude. Because I've been playing music pretty much what feels like my whole life. But when I started like performing out back in like 2012 and doing covers and like doing shows and stuff, that was like, I've always been a fan of like Usher. I've always been a fan of JT. I've always been a fan of like these like soulful singers. And so that mashup kind of just came to me, I think back in like, I want to even say like 2009, 2010. And and when I figured out I can like mash songs up like that while playing guitar and stuff, that's just been my whole thing. So like the whole DJ thing, like people are going, oh man, like it's so cool that he mashes up songs like that. It's like I've been actually doing that live for a long time. So that just happens to be one of them, one of my most popular ones. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. See, I didn't even catch the whole, I guess, the big picture of how you are as an artist, right? It's much bigger than a DJ. It's much bigger than you.
I just started DJing like in November, like last year. So I haven't even had my DJ deck for more than a year. Really? I haven't had it for a year at all yet. So I bought it for myself as a birthday present last year, and it was at the end of June. And I was like determined. I was like, you know what? I think my whole idea of being a DJ was I wanted to do like the whole like the James hype, like being like a big dance DJ, like I wanted to just dive into that whole thing because again, like I said, I've been playing shows and stuff like for a living since 2012, but as a performer since 2008. And I just decided like I'm going to be 35 this year. And I was like, I don't know very many musicians who keep doing it later on in their lives, like playing like that many shows and like doing all these like, I mean, if you ever came to my shows, it's all like nostalgic stuff. It's like old school hip hop and R&B and like, just a lot of that nostalgic stuff that I love. And then so a lot of people just kind of fall for it too. And so I just don't know how long I can keep doing that. So it's like, I kind of want to step into the DJ realm too, because it's like less taxing on the body. I don't have to be like bringing all this gear all the time. I can just show up with a laptop and do my thing. And, so
you're planning ahead. You're kind of envisioning what the future looks like.
Yeah. And then I didn't touch my decks for like months. I didn't touch it at all. I bought it for nothing and it sat there and I was just like, man. And then a high school or an old friend of mine from like elementary school, he also DJs. And I was like, hey man, how would you like to just do a show one day? Let me just promote it. I'll promote it. I'll put it on. We'll go to like some bar that has nothing. They're not doing anything on a weekend night. And I'll just ask them if we could just do it for free. And we'd do like block off like 5 hours. And we'd just go and like mix hip hop and R&B for a night. Yeah. And it was November. That was my first show I ever did. We invited all our friends, and like a whole whopping like 11 people showed up, and we just kind of did it. But we just had a good time. And I was like, man, I can do this forever. And I love it. And so yeah, that November was like when I finally was like, dude, I want to DJ more. I just like, I love doing this. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, see, I wouldn't have pictured that by watching what you're doing, because you seem such a natural at it, which to me, I chalk that up as you have experience in doing it, but you've really taken your craft as a live musician and really reinvented yourself as a DJ. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think I still man, you know, my brain works it's so weird. It's like, because one moment it's like, hey man, you might not be doing this for a lot longer, you know, and like also then I get super motivated, and like this whole DJing thing, it really motivated me to take my music career seriously again, because up until January I was just playing shows and just like DJing stuff here and there. Yeah. But I when my social media started kicking off in like January, February, that's when I finally started being like, dude, you're like, I had to sit down and have this talk with myself and be like, yo, you're like, you are good at what you do. Like, and I think I deal with a lot of mental like depression sometimes, you know, where like I'm like, man, I'm not good enough, and like I'm never gonna get to that place. But when like things started kicking off with the whole DJ mashup stuff, and then people started seeing like my music, and then really it like something started turning in my head, and I'm like, I can't give up. I can't stop. You know, I'll stop when my body tells me to stop. So now it's like, it's really like, I don't want to say I've reinvented myself into DJ. I think I've reinvented myself as a musician as a whole now, because now like I've you know, reset up my whole studio here, and I've like got, you know, I started setting up my cameras. Like, this camera is a lot nicer than the one I had before. You know, I started setting up my cameras in certain ways so that I can start doing live streams and like recording myself doing my covers and so that people can see that side of me more. Because right now, all people are seeing is my DJ side, and they think I'm a DJ first, and I'm not. I'm a musician first. So, you know, I want people to see that side of me more. That's why, like, when I go on live on TikTok or whatever, it's all my live gigs. So when people come in and they're like, whoa, he's not only a DJ, he actually plays. This is great. Like, I want them to see the whole thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one's kind of feeding the other, and it's giving way for people to see what they hadn't been able to see before, because it's a new medium. That's awesome. You know, and the fact that you kind of play with these various genres, you know, and I've seen everything from hip hop to rock to, you know, reggae, R&B, country. I mean, you kind of just run the gamut with things. Do you think that it's like, is it audiences are craving that kind of, I guess, diversity, or are you just kind of running with your own creativity and taste?
I'm running with my own thing, man. I post sometimes I'll post something and it doesn't hit, but for me, I'm like, yo, that was cool. Like, I can listen to that all the time. And then sometimes I'll post something that I'm just like, like, okay, like, I enjoyed it. Maybe I didn't enjoy it as much, but I'll throw it out there, and the audience is like, dude, like my Alice DJ Better Off Alone and Nickelback mashup. When I made it, I was like, this is kind of goofy. Like, this is goofy. And I did it more for like to itch that part of my brain that was just like, do something goofy and out there. It might not even be a banger. And it like blew me up. It like it really did. It was like overnight I went from 10K to like 35,000, and then like on TikTok, and then 35,000 to like 75,000 on TikTok in like a week. And so it was like that one really like was, I don't know what it was. I just think it's just the nostalgic feeling of like both of those songs, you know, and people like you know, older generations who are like, oh man, I remember that song. And I grew up on all that, and I still listen to it to this day, like more than anything new, really. And so it's it's not as much like what I think people are gonna like. It's just what I really enjoy, and I just put it out there, because that's just one of the things I've learned is like, yeah, you want to make music that other people enjoy, and that's part of like being a singer-songwriter and a musician, is like making sure you can create something that other people can vibe to, but also you want to make something that you like too. So, and I've just been more trying to think about what do I enjoy,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, let's run it back a little bit. You know, you
Yeah.
mentioned this arena where, you know, there'd been a time that you had struggled, you know, mentally with
Mm-hmm.
feelings of worth and whether or not your creativity is worth people checking out or paying for, etc., getting booked for.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you've kind of found a new creative outlet that allows you to express yourself and people are actually paying attention to it, like speak to the maybe the importance of a creative not getting stuck in this redundant zone where they don't have ways to spark new creativity, I guess reinvention in a way, right, for them to be able to be innovative in what they're doing, because
Right.
I think it's really easy for not just a creative or an artist to get into a routine, but anybody in general, right, with any kind of industry. You can find
Mm-hmm.
yourself kind of in the monotony of things, and then all of a sudden the passion you had turns into a job that's
Yeah.
something you hate. What do you do? Like, do you have anything that I guess you do to get you into that space of creativity where you don't run dry?
I think you know, I actually, it's funny you say this because I had a conversation with somebody the other day about them doing music, and it's actually, she lives in Boise,
Oh,
and so,
really?
or I somewhere close, but
Uh-huh.
hi Bella, look at me, I'm being
Yeah.
interviewed. But yeah, no, we were talking about she wants to get into music and she wants to find her sound in her she's like, I want to find my sound before I put myself out there. And I'm like, why not do it all?
Mm-hmm.
Because one, it's, if you try and lock into one specific thing, you're kind of limiting yourself and like your creativity, in the sense of like, well, I could do this, or I
Yeah.
want to do this.
Yeah.
Maybe you might not like all the things that you do try, but
Right.
it opens up so many different possibilities. For me, I was the same way, like, and I mean, I do, when I play live, I do it all. Like, my DJ mashups are not very far from what you see me do live as a musician, as a singer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because when I tunnel vision into like a certain genre, and like for a while it was country, it was
Yeah.
just country, and eventually I'm like, man, like I'm doing all this stuff, this country stuff that I think is going to be hot, and people are, it's not hitting as much. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing stuff that's like Morgan Wallen, because Morgan Wallen's big right now, and I'm trying
Right.
to, like, you know, follow the
Trends.
trends.
Yeah.
Then you get stuck, and then you start getting in your head, and you're like, people don't think I'm good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, then I kind of divert, and I'm like, well, what if I try this? Then I started trying, like, throwing like reggae into
Mm-hmm.
country, and there's already a band that's doing it called Mali. They're amazing. And but like, when I started doing that, it like gave me like this new love for country, and also
Mm-hmm.
like got me into like listening to more reggae. Then I started getting more excited. It's just like, sprinkle a little bit of other things into what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what's going to come up. Like, you might not like it, you
Yeah.
know, but what's the worst that can happen? You don't like it, you move on, you try and do something else. And like, yeah, I know that a lot of people try and like, they just want to stick to their sound, they're only good at their sound and stuff, but I just feel like if you divert and you do something new, even if it's just for a week or 2 weeks or even a couple days, like, you might find a new love for something, or you might like reignite a passion from something that
Mm-hmm.
you were trying to do. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just, I do it all. I try and do it all. My brain doesn't let me stick to one thing. I
Mm-hmm.
get very like, it's like video games. I can't sit and I can't sit down and play the same game for like a long time. I have to like do other things too. I have to like play other things, and like, so it's just, I'm all over the place. My brain's all over the place. It's a freaking mess up here, but you know,
I get it.
yeah.
Speaking of gaming, I mean, you found some success in that arena as well, right? With
With
streaming your music.
Twitch,
Yeah.
yeah. So a little backstory. So like, when I was really heavy into playing gigs all the time. I was playing like 8 days a week, 25 hours a day. It felt like sometimes I was doing like twice a day. I was
Mm-hmm.
playing all these shows, but also at the same time, I wasn't living like the healthiest lifestyle. I was down a deep and dark path. Things weren't great. So I was not spending my time, my free time wisely.
Mm-hmm.
And and it, so I found Twitch, and Twitch is a live streaming platform for people who don't know. It's mainly, it started as a gaming platform, Justin TV years ago, and then it became Twitch, and it was all primarily gaming. So I was like, I love video games. I want to try starting playing video games for a living. Like, who doesn't want to do that? And this was like 2015, 2016 when I started it, and everybody, well, not everybody, but on the platform, there's so many people trying to do that. So it was hard for me to find an audience. I was like me, my brother, my girlfriend at the time, like watching my stream, and it was that way for a long time. And a friend of mine who had a little bit of success, she was like, why don't you just try doing music on it? People love your music. And I'm like, but I play music for a living. Like, I don't want to have to do that. And she goes, you never know how it's going to go. Just try it. And sure enough, it took off. It took off. This was before music was really like a thing on Twitch. And then then there was like me and a few other musicians on Twitch. And to this day, we all still keep in contact, which is amazing. It's like the original like musicians of Twitch. And it built, and over the years now Twitch has like, it's been bought by Amazon, and they have a whole music category for it. But yeah, I stopped playing as many gigs. I was able to make an income from Twitch and kind of make my name a little more worldwide, because Twitch is everybody around the world. And then a friend of mine, Austin, who has still a really popular streamer, and his blowing up. I mean, and I'm talking, he's like top of the top, like thousands of viewers all the time. He asked me to do a talent show. This is when I first met him, and I said, sure. I've never heard of this guy, but I'll give it a try. And 10,000 viewers later, and one talent show win, and people were like, whoa, this guy's crazy. And he was like, hey man, like, do you want to start opening up my shows? For like my shows that I had, he used to host like some dating shows, and like they were all like, he'd bring in big YouTubers, like he'd bring in celebrities, he'd bring in like people that would be like the center of the dating show, and then he'd have like 12 people who are like trying to win their hearts and whatever. And I was a musical opener for it for like every week. And so when COVID hit, YouTubers, like Minecraft YouTubers, started becoming like the big thing. And he asked me to do a show. He was like, hey man, can you open this? We got to this Minecraft YouTuber. Apparently he's really big for like all these kids who love like watching his stuff. And I'm like, sure, I'll do it. And I didn't think that it was gonna even be that crazy. And I was like 10 minutes into doing my opener, and there's 200,000 people in this live stream. Like 90,000, then 100,000, and 200,000, and it was like, what the heck? Like, and so he had me do it every week for a while, for a couple of years actually. And so I found a lot of success through that platform as well. But then there came a time where I was just like, you know what, I want to get back into gigging. My life has changed, and I've since then like moved out of like the gaming and streaming space as much. I'm starting to trickle back into it with TikTok and whatnot. But I needed to find my love for like performing for people, in front of people again. So that's where I'm back at it now.
Yeah. So would you say that, I mean, do you prefer the in-person interaction and performance with people, or is it just, you think maybe there is just some kind of a disconnect between the in-person stuff and virtual, and you want to?
There is a disconnect. I mean, there is, sometimes it does feel like, when you just get a different energy when you're in front of people, especially, I mean, I could be in front of like 300 people at a restaurant or a nightclub or something performing, and nobody really interacts. I can be on like a TikTok live in front of 50 people, and they're all spamming a bunch of words. Well, this guy's crazy, and it feels good. But then but also it's the same thing in a different, you flip it. And, sometimes I'll be live on TikTok. Like recently, my TikTok lives have been like, 1,000 people plus sometimes in there. And it just doesn't seem like there's 1,000 people in there. You know what I mean? But then I'll be in front of a room full of like 50 people, and they're clapping after every song. So it's like, it could be different. There is a little bit of a disconnect, but at the end of the day, if I can get like my music out there, I'm going to do it either way. And if people are listening at the restaurants or the nightclubs or whatever I'm playing, or if they're listening on TikTok live or Twitch or whatever it is, I appreciate them all the same. They're they're lending their ears to me, and enjoying it, hopefully. So that's all I can ask for.
Absolutely. One of the things that's coming to mind here as I guess I would call it a play, if you would, if there is a playbook for some of this stuff, is, and maybe you've been doing some of this stuff almost accidentally, but it sounds like, you're diversifying what you do and where it goes. And so it's allowed you to kind of weave in and out of these different arenas, and where one well dries up, you find another one, and it inevitably leads into another relationship. So we know that technology shifts and the music industry has changed so much as well. And so you're kind of adapting and moving with things as they happen. And then obviously you might find yourself back at a place that you missed or you started before, but for different reasons now. It's not because you're trying to, make sure the light bill gets turned on. It's like there's something else that you're getting from it. I think that it's important for people to understand, especially in the artistic realm, of learning to adapt. And that's kind of what you're doing. Would you say, do you agree with that?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, everything is changing. Everything's changing. I mean, we have AI creating music. Like, dude, it's crazy. And but you have to adapt with everything. I'm not saying you have to, like, if you want to be a musician, go and have AI create music for you. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that, like, everything's changing. I mean, like, we saw it when, like, mumble rap became a thing, and everybody was like, man, this is terrible, but everybody started doing it, and now it's on all radios. It's the same thing with, like, my, again, shout out Bella, but we call it cursive singing, when they're just like, they sing like that, and it's like you man, like, it really just makes you just, like, not enjoy it, but everybody's doing it. And I'm not saying you have to do it, but I'm just saying, like, you got to find a way to adapt to the way music's changing. I mean, like, for instance, country is not the same as it was 20 years ago. We got Morgan Wallen, who's making R&B country. We got, and I mean, even Chris Stapleton is, like, considered at some point an R&B artist as well. So like, because they're adapting, or they're, you have to adapt, because if you continue to stay stuck in, like, these old, I'm not saying, like, you can't keep making the old same nostalgic stuff you want, like, I also, like, rap a little bit. I like to write and rap, and so, like, if you check on my Insta or my Spotify, I have some, like, hip hop stuff there that I've, like, I've written over, like, other producers' music and stuff, and licensed some beats and stuff. But, like, a lot of it is West Coast, like, G-funk style beats, and it's just, there's that, like, nostalgic feeling to those too. But I also, like, sprinkle in a little bit of, like, what could be considered, like, today's sense of pop and hip hop as well. So it's just about adapting. You have to adapt to, like, stay relevant, and if you want to be mainstream, or if you want to at least try and be mainstream.
And I think you're pointing to different platforms that kind of serve a different function. Like, to that point about your Spotify, I was checking out on my own that you had constructed. That's one of them, I believe, that you were rapping on. And that's kind of what I envision as part of this, is, like, you got one platform that's kind of primarily operating as almost like your experimental zone / your place that you like to kind of breathe in. And these other lanes, you're, like, serving the audience based on what they need. So you got different platforms that serve different functions.
I really do. I didn't even think about it that way, but that's actually true, because my Spotify, a lot of people use Spotify because they're like, this is where you're going to hear all my stuff that's like this. And my Spotify is like, if you guys don't mind jumping into the chaotic mess that's my brain, go listen to my Spotify, because it's got everything from, like, hip hop to R&B to reggae to rock to like emo music to, like, random, like, lo-fi beats. It's, like, everything, you know what I mean? But like, that's true. I do use that, and it's the same thing with my SoundCloud. Like, again, I'm very experimental with, like, a lot of different styles of music. I can't stick to one. It's impossible for me. I just love music so much. It's, like, part of it's my soul, so and when I hear something that I like, and I hear a genre that I like, I'm gonna go and dive into it until I get good at it, and then I'm gonna post at least one song that I've done that I think is worthy of listening in that genre. So
absolutely. One of the other things that I picked up, especially from these tracks that you've done, which I believe some of these, or most of them, are their originals, and I found that, like, your songwriting abilities seem really well done. Like, I don't know if you trained up in that arena, or it's just something you've developed over time, but like,
I want to say, I'm sorry, one sec, my camera's being a little weird, but I want to say that I've always been really just poetic since I was younger. I started writing poetry. Maybe it wasn't like, you know, um, poetry night style poetry, you know what I
yeah.
mean? But it was like more songwriting ish poetry, where it's just kind of where I got my start in songwriting. So, and I've always just been like a really sensitive kid since I was young. So like I just always had these deep feelings, and I also think at the time, when I was younger, mental health and like understanding depression and anxiety in children when in the 90s and early 2000s probably wasn't like the most thought of thing. So like I had all these feelings, I didn't know how to express them, so I always just expressed them into writing them down in poetry. And then when I first started learning piano, which was my first instrument, that was that was my go-to, was just, okay, let me take these poems and put them into song.
Yeah.
So I've always just kind of written. So over, like, maybe I guess that's my way of training it, but I've just always like had a way with words. I guess a lot of people have always said you just got a way with words and like how you put them together. So like I do take pride in my songwriting. I try and make it different every time.
Yeah. What came to mind with that was partly how I see you delving into these different mediums, right? And you're finding ways to either monetize or build a brand off of these different platforms. Have you delved into that with songwriting and writing for others?
I haven't. It's something I've thought about. I've always thought about it because, like, for instance, Bruno Mars got his start in songwriting.
Exactly.
I mean, Ed Sheeran now songwrites for a million people. I mean, not a million, but you know what I mean? Like, you never would have guessed that a lot of the songs that are out right now, Ed Sheeran's been behind them.
Yeah.
So same thing with like, producers like Benny Blanco and stuff. So it's like it's been something I've thought about. I have thought about it. I don't know how to go about it, I guess, is like the way. But also just now at this point of my career where like I'm just performing, I play like 4 or 5 nights a week. I work on DJ mashups like all the time, and then on the other time, like I also have a job just running social media for like a local restaurant here. So like I've my time's kind of like in a lot of different things at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's something I would love to do. I'd love to write for people and make a career out of that, because that could be something that also, like, I don't, maybe DJing doesn't work out for me, but like there's something I can stick in with music and continue to do and like provide for what, if I have a family or whatever, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It reminds me of a buddy of mine who he got his start in songwriting, and he largely performs and whatnot now, but to my knowledge he still writes. He started off writing, or I don't know if it started, but when he got his, I guess, a break of some sort, it was via Sony when he was writing for them. But as somebody, I think, let's connect offline. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, this has been phenomenal, man. This has been gold. No pun intended. Pun intended, kind of.
No, dude, I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me do this. I'm sorry I yap a lot, man. My brain, again, like I said, it's like once you give it a chance to start talking, dude, I'd go. So
yeah, no, this is good stuff, man. Outside of what I seen was a busy June that you got ahead of you. You got quite a few gigs that you're gonna be performing. What else is on the radar, man? You got any projects that you're in the works with?
Dude, just mashups, man. I've got some. I've been the last couple of weeks. I've been working on some great, some awesome mashups. That I just, again, like I said, when I come up with something, I'm either driving or I'm in the shower or something comes to me. They're so weird. It's so weird how it comes to me. But this one, in a couple of weeks that I'm dropping is, I hope people are gonna like it. But other than that, I mean, it's just I'm working on just getting my schedule booked out. I mean, since, again, like I said, since the whole social media has been blown up on TikTok and Instagram, I've got a lot of people reaching out for me to go play at their nightclubs and their gigs and stuff in different states. So I just, if you guys need a DJ or a musician and you guys hear this, please reach out. But other than that, man, I'm just trying to get my schedule going and take all this seriously, because I need to.
Absolutely. No, it's phenomenal stuff, man. You're a super talent. Like I said, the more I went down the rabbit hole, the more I said, oh, this guy's reputation precedes himself. But then it was like, you're actually better than what I initially saw. and what I saw was great, man. So like, I don't mean to blow smoke, but when I saw that, I'm telling you that live performance, I'll come back to it again so I can remember what it was. It was the Usher JT one. When I caught that one, I was like, oh snap! I was like, bro, this guy.
Well, hey, you know what? You might see a full version of that coming soon, because like I said, I've set up my studio to be able to record stuff like that now, so that I can make more of that content, because right now my YouTube has all my DJ stuff, but I can't monetize any of it because it's all copywritten music. So and I get, so once I start covering stuff, you might see that one pop up here pretty soon. So
nice.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you're checking this out, you're listening to him, make sure you go check him out, JermiahGoldMusic.com. Socials are also Jermiah Gold Music, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, my brother, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much
brother.
for chopping shop with me.
Appreciate you.
You got it, bro.